So let's see together how to make some custom brushes, and we're going to use them for the rest of the chapter. Since we need to create some new custom brushes, we want to start from a white background file. So you can go for our file new and pick some width and height and white as a background, and then we go for a new brand new layer, empty layer, and we're going to paint something black in this. Now before we start, if you take the brush tool and you right click, you see here you have different folders and different like presets that generally are, by the way, divided by folders. So maybe you want them, maybe you don't want them. Anyway, what I want to do now is to clean up a little bit this area here, this library, I would say. And so what I want to do is to select them all, and delete groups. So we have, just a few things, and I will delete even these brushes. I don't want them anymore. And so we can create a new brush preset, new brush group, I would say. Here we go. So this will be like SOA, I don't know. Let's say this stuff is to make some drawing. So like, let's say default, okay? Let's say SOA default. We can have as many groups as we want. Let's say, I don't know, we want some, brushes to paint trees. Maybe we have the silhouette of different trees. We can have a new group and call this one, I don't know, SOA trees or wherever. So be careful, because this is a nice way. I mean, not careful, but you should be in control of this, and you should like make your own folders, even because if you change, I don't know, computer, and you want to bring all your brushes with you, you can like then go here and export. You see selected brushes. Of course, we don't have any brush here in this folder now, but we will have soon. Okay, and let's start by creating a new brush. Okay, so I'm going to pick a single, like a simple one, like this one. Okay, and what I want to do is I want to create a pitch black, shape, and this one, and it's gonna look like a rectangle. Not because I like, to have, like rectangles, but it's because it's kind of a nice shape to have when you paint with, Photoshop. So I will like make something like this. I mean, it's okay if you're not precise. Okay, you can even like go up with the size, get the size on pressure, thickness on pressure, and do something like this. You shouldn't be precise. Okay, so something like that, it's fine. Okay, and this is what you want. And maybe you want to, I don't know, you can also smudge a little bit, like one of the corner, if you want. I mean, just imagine that this is the tip of, I don't know, a marker. So it's never going to be perfect. And so this is the first brush. Okay, this is the first one. And once we stop drawing brushes on this canvas, then we can just go in here, select this, and go for edit, define brush preset, and that's it. Okay, so full, sometimes you want to do like one brush at a time, but it's also cool to feel a little bit more free of experimenting and drawing like different type of brushes. Like, I don't know, this one could be the tip of pencil, for example. Okay, then we can have something like a very thin line, something like this. And it's always cool to have one side of it like thicker than the other, you know, to just to have some imperfections that I would say, remember the actual tip. And an advice is, when you draw like a brush tip, you can draw it like or vertically like this one, or horizontally. And it depends on how you want to modify the brush tip in the future, about the roundness, about the like how much you want to squeeze it. So if you draw like a brush like this one, which is vertical, you know that when you then act on the roundness, it will change the height of the brush. If you paint some like tip like this one, then the roundness still work the same direction, and so you will change the thickness of this. Okay, so it's up to you. It's up to what you need to do afterward with your brush. Okay, remember, vertically you will get something less tall. If you draw it horizontally, you will act on the thickness with the roundness. Okay, roundness is this one. When you right click, you get the roundness is this stuff here. See? Then we can have a brush like like if you want to paint some kind of like fur, okay, or like something like this. See, I'm painting with a strong with more strength at the base here, and then I just going up with the mouse, sorry, the pen, like this. See? And this will end up working as a brush for like fur or grass, but it's like more fur. And then we can have like a brush with small dots. Okay, just try to be kind of random in this, lightly change the size of your dots, like this. And this it's helpful if you want to paint some like God rays, or if you want to smudge the surface of water. Maybe you have a reflection and you want to smudge it with the finger tool. If you want create some waves like reflection. And then you can have something like this if you want to paint some like rain. See? Way stronger here, because I put more pressure at the start, and then I kind of release the pen when I get up on the left. And you can have you can have this kind of brush to paint rain. Okay. It doesn't matter the rotation, because you can then rotate the brush like this. If you keep the brush like with the direction, with the starting direction, this will basically squeeze the brush, and so it will also change the direction a little bit. It's up to you. Remember that when you want to paint with rain, with the brush like this, some rain, you need to paint more than one layer of rain, because the one close to you is bigger, the one far away from you is smaller. So you may want to have even more than probably one brush. You have like one brush with 3 drops of rain. They looks like this because of the motion blur, of course. And you can have like one with a few more, for the back. So you don't want to stay there for half an hour painting drops one by one. With this brush here, plus the the scattering tool on the brush here, you can have thousands of this in 1 second. Just don't exaggerate. Okay. And then we can have something like grass. And this is like this is not easy to paint. Okay, like you need to kind of find and copy some references. The trick with grass is to make more than one. Okay, so don't try to make only one and get a nice result. Yeah, you can get something, but you need to have more than one. Okay, so just try to have something different. Okay, maybe a little bit thicker at the base, you know, and so on and so on and so on. And you need, like, I don't know, you can have a canvas with 10 different brushes, 10 different tips, and then save them all into a grass group. And it's going to be a lot better if you sometimes use one of these, sometimes you use another. And then you can have also like low grass, something like more like a really like a small like clump of, see, grass, something very small. Okay, you can have more than one. I really enjoy to work with the size and thickness more than opacity on sorry, size on pressure than opacity on pressure. Since I can work with opacity even after, but the thickness define the shape of something, and it's pretty important to make it right when you do it the first time. Okay. So the key here is to have fun, of course, and to just try to invest some time in making brushes. And this is not this is worth it. This is worth, trust me. Good artists use a lot of brushes. They have custom brushes, and this really makes the difference. Okay, this really makes the difference, because you can get a nice result in a few seconds. Because you see, I spent like what, how much, like 3 seconds, 5 seconds painting like these 15 strokes. But if you have to multiply these 15 strokes for, like, I don't know, 1,000, that means like minutes, hours of work. Okay. And if you spend like 5 seconds just painting this one, and then another 5 seconds scattering this thing here all around, it's a matter of seconds, not hours. So it's really important, it's really mandatory to make your own brushes. Okay, and this is just an example, okay, of what you can do. Another example you will see probably in the next videos is you can have also textures. So you can like take a texture and like, is a texture like with imagine you have a texture with some tiles or some objects seen from the top, and then you squeeze it and you put in perspective, and so you have a texture with a lot of differences in perspective, and you can use that texture to add elements and details on top of your painting in no time, and that's really valuable. Okay, so now that we have a few strokes, a few tips, we can select them. You see, I'm in the right layer, and then I can go with the define brush preset, and this is going to be only the tip. It's not going to be the brush. Okay, so we say okay, and we have the tip. Now we hide this layer for a moment. Okay, we Control D because we don't want that selection anymore. So you see, I have a tip, but I need to go here now in the brush settings because I want to control, for example, the size with the pen pressure. Okay, see, I have pen pressure, so if I press more, I get something thicker. I can change the spacing, so 10% is probably too much. I can go like to 3%, so I get something that looks better. And then we have shape dynamics. Now, for something like this brush, okay, this is like my brush to draw, to sketch. Okay, and I really like to have something like this because it gives me see the opportunity to paint something without changing the size, but just changing the pressure. Okay, and I don't know, this is something I like. I mean, I know this is like 5 years old sketch, but because we are not taking in consideration perspective, I mean, it's okay, I don't care. The thing is, we normally I don't touch the size, you see, jitter, because it basically change, it kind of create a broken edge, you see, on the sides. But it's up to you. I mean, if you want something more realistic, like a real marker tip, you can do that. Just don't exaggerate. And then you can have angle jitter, but this is a really bold, um, brush. So if you want, you can even go here in control. Don't get any angle jitter, but change the direction with initial direction or direction. So if you go with initial direction and you start painting in one direction, it doesn't matter if you now change direction. You see, it will still be in that direction. Okay. See, but if you change this to direction, it will keep going in the direction you are painting. See, so you have not. I mean, it's really, really useful to have a brush like this, because you can define, let's say, design. You can design stuff without like wasting too much time. Okay. I don't know, like this is like a bridge. See, like I don't know, like you have, and you can experiment with the pressure and gets different, shapes. See, I'm just pressing more or less. This is really cool. And so this is the first brush I would like keep. I will keep it like this, exactly like this. I would no scattering, nothing. And so now if I want to save it, I'm going here, I press new, and this will be our first, brush. So this is the SOA design brush. Okay, 01. If you want to capture the brush size we have right now, you can just click in there. You can also include this in the tools. The tool basically is another category of things that save all the settings you have right now, like the color, like the size. You see, you can do that. You can do that if you don't want to anytime. If you don't want every time to change the color every time. It's like a way to recall specific tool in a specific moment with a specific color. And so I don't know, if you want like this brush every time exactly like this big, this color, you can save it as a tool, and you will find it in the tool presets. You can set up the tool preset to show you only the current tools, and it should be showing us the tool. Where is it? It's probably not here. I will find it. But anyway, we have it in the brush. You see, we have this one. So this one is the actual brush, not this one. This one is only the tip. Okay. So if you want, you can delete this one, and you can just keep this one. Okay, which is the should show the name. Here we go. See, so design brush 01. Okay, and so we can go back on our list here. It was this one, and so we can have, I don't know, like we can do the same for this one. You can do that by yourself. I want to show you something like this. Okay, so edit, define brush preset. Okay, I don't really care about the name now because it's just a tip. We are going to make a brush with this very soon. So I deselect, go into brush setting, and with this one, I want to do something a little bit different. So let's change the size jitter, okay? And you can control the minimum diameter, but let's keep it 0, and let's keep the pen pressure, okay? So if I'm pressing more, I get something bigger, of course. And then I will change the angle jitter a little bit, since I don't want every piece of fur like in the same, looking in the same direction. And also I want to have the flip X jitter, which means that, the the single tip will be flipped horizontally sometimes. Okay. Now you can even go with the scattering if you want more. Both axes. I won't just go both axes, not just in the Y. And you can have more than that. You can have more strokes for every single time you paint. Now, keeping the brush like this is not really cool. So you can do a couple of things. You can change, sorry, you can change the color dynamics by just going here and picking two different colors. So let's say that you want to paint some fur, and I mean these is the two colors you have, like a two kind of gray. You can change, you see, the color, but now it doesn't work because we have no randomization between the foreground and the background, so we have only the foreground. But if we go here like this and we start painting, every time I paint, you see, with a different stroke, you see I have a different color. Now this is cool, but if you take this on, apply per tip, then it's going to be even cooler because it's going to be different for each stroke you paint, see? And now it's a lot better because you have a lot of differences, and it looks even better, I would say. And then here you have, of course, all the settings, because maybe you want to change the brightness also a little bit without changing those two colors, you see? And it changed the brightness, it changed the saturation, changed the hue. Now we don't have any color, so I don't think it's gonna work, you see? But you can change the hue. So let's say that you have, I don't know, let's say a red color in here and green color in here. I know it's crazy, but it's just to show you. You see, you have this stuff. And then if you change the hue jitter, it's going to completely shift these two colors, on the color wheel. And so you will get some purple or some yellow or some orange. It's up to you, okay? And then, of course, you have saturation. So, sometimes they will be more saturated, sometimes it will be less saturated. Purity, take this stuff here and bring it down to, 0. I see that if I bring purity down, you see, it takes everything here down to 0%. If you go to 0, it basically takes this options for what they are. If you go up with purity, it's like increasing all these options. Now, I'm not a fan of this. I'm not really touching this stuff, even because maybe a little bit of hue, a little bit of saturation, a little bit of brightness is okay, but I don't want to go far away from these colors I picked at the beginning, because these are the colors I actually want to paint with, okay? So this is my 2 cents on the matter. And anyway, this is one thing you can do. Another thing you can do is to work with the transfer. Transfer means that it's the same of the color dynamic, but is on the opacity. So you see, it's going to modify the visibility of every stroke. And I mean, it's up to you. You can control that with pressure. So it's the same of applying this. See, more pressure, less pressure. That's something obvious. And remember that if you want to, this shape to follow your painting direction, which is not doing it right now, you need to go back on shape dynamics, angle jitter, and go in direction. And so now you see it will follow the painting direction. Okay, see, you need to be careful anyway, because if you go back and forth, this one will go with the fur looking up and this one will go with the fur looking down. So be careful, okay? If you want to keep doing it, just paint once and then stop and then paint again, then paint again and then paint again, then paint again. I mean, I'm showing you this that looks like a little bit like fur, but if you think about grass, it's the same concept, okay? You can do the same. So if you do this with this type of brush, I mean, it's going to be the same. This one, you can define brush preset, and this is the SOA. This is not, doesn't matter really, because it's just a tip. So once you have this, you can build your own new brush just by changing the size a little bit. You see the angle, random angle, a little bit of roundness, jitter, and then scattering. And scatter, will you see, scatter this stuff all around, and you can have more than one for each time you paint. And this is what happens if you have like the size and pressure. See? And the cool thing about this is that you can actually squeeze the brush like this, and so they will look in perspective, you see? And if you don't exaggerate with the scattering, because otherwise the perspective is broken, see? You can add dots on a surface, maybe maybe this is what you want to do. And you can also smudge them with the same type of brush. Of course, you see, now we changed the brush and we lost the changes. It's because when you do it, you need to, when you do something the first time, you know, when you like work on the brush the first time, and you change the scattering, change the count, change the brush, tip shape, shape dynamics, and etc., and you get something you like, you need to immediately save it, or you are going to, you're going to lose it. Okay. See, now we have it, and this is the original one. The original one can be deleted. Okay. And so now we can like just see, brush this stuff in like one direction. If it takes too much, it's because you have the spacing too high, or anyway with the finger, with the, you know, with the smudge tool, you have the strength too high in here. It takes time. It takes time. There's nothing you can do. It takes time. You get crazy results if you scatter this. See, it's trying to smudge in every direction, in every second. And now, if you want to stop the process, you need to press on ESC, but sometimes it's not working. So be careful with what you do. I mean, if you want to have like a smudge brush for this, you know, to smudge like, I don't know, reflection of water, this should be different. So no scattering, no shape dynamics, no angle jitter, no roundness jitter, and you need to increase the decrease the spacing. Okay, and you see now I can just move stuff back and forth. Now the file is very big, it's very huge. The strength is you know, really high here on the smudge tool. So it takes time, okay? It takes time. It's the same thing we had in the lesson with the, you know, God rays and with the water reflection. You see, I'm not painting, it's still painting. I painted like 1 minute ago and it's still moving by itself. I'm not doing it. So be careful with this stuff, because it could take a few minutes to be completed, okay? Now, the last one I want to show you, since the grass and this one is the same of the fur as for the rain. So I can go rain, select the rain, and then define brush preset, okay. And then we can, you know, start the new layer. And if you do this, you see it's not cool. But if you change a little bit, the shape, size jitter a little bit, you know, the angle, no, because the rain falls down the same angle. So don't touch the angle, I would say. You can touch a little bit the roundness if you want. And then the scattering, you see, it should be very high. And then you can start, with like rain close to you with no size. See? Then you can go down with the size. Too much. Then go down. Maybe down with the opacity, because the rain in the background will be even like less visible, I would say. Then you can go up with the scattering and the count if you go with a very, very small like brush, because you don't want to spend half an hour painting everywhere. See? And you can have this stuff here ready to be on top of the render. Maybe you can invert that, you can invert that. See, I'm inverting the entire file, but you should invert only this layer, make it white, and if you want to make a better result, this will be in like screen mode, of course, on top of the you see, you need to invert just this one and invert this one. So and you can go down with the opacity, see. And if you want to make a better job here, a better work, is a good idea is to paint different type of rain on different layers, so you can blur them a little bit, like one by one. You can maybe work with the motion blur, picking the right direction, and blurring like a little bit, like by little. Another idea could be to make a smart object and blur with radial blur, zoom mode, and you do something like this. So this will basically also, you see, if you have the right direction, it will blend the rain like if it goes in your face, But anyway, this is how you can use this brush, okay? And of course you can have more than one. This is really long. You can have a longer one, you can have a small one. It's up to you, okay? Let's go back on this. And the only problem with brushes is that you can have one tip at a time. So in the moment you want more than one, you need more than one grass, you need more than one brush, and that's the only con of working with brushes. But it's important to make practice. So now you need to make a few grass brushes, a few long grass brushes, and some brushes to draw, okay? And you can also do this. You can also have a new document. Let's say we have a document which is 1024 for 1024, create, and then we pick black and white as the colors, and we go for render clouds, and we have these clouds here, and we save them as a pattern, okay? And why we're doing this? Because now if I pick this brush here, the one that, I don't know, I want to simulate the pencil, and I will go for the fine brush preset, press OK, and then I start with a new layer, and I try this out. You see, I don't want, okay, this is too perfect. It doesn't look like graphite. So I will go for brush settings. I would say graphite doesn't really change that much. So, it's kind of uniform. This is the size of the graphite. It's kind of uniform. So I will, keep it pen pressure, but then I will like go for a minimal diameter, which is not that different from, the biggest one. And then I go for texture here, and here I will look for the, see, the noise that we just created, the cloud noise we just created. and we can, scale this noise. We can make it brighter. We can constant. I mean, this is not really cool. I mean, I can't really understand most of the time what I'm doing. Okay. You see, you can just go here in the depth. If you keep this in height, it's like working with the height map. And so you can scale down. You see, you can scale down the clouds. You can make the clouds a little bit like darker or brighter. You can contrast them. Sorry. And so this will act as a mask for the brush itself. See, it's now not perfect. There's some holes. And this is something you can do. And also you can turn on dual brushes, which helps to eat a little bit of the, outside of the borders. Okay. And to do so, you want to select another brush, and the other brush will, see, make something like an alpha. I mean, this is not easy. I mean, this is something you need to, play a little bit with. And you see, but it's kind of breaking the borders of this. Maybe I need to go back in here. See? So now my pencil is a little bit different than before. So it's kind of a ground map over the brush, and it gives me more kind of a natural feeling when I'm drawing. There's a lot of iterations you can try. There's a lot of tests you can do. Different brushes means different results. That's why trying is so important, because it gives you the ability to create a completely different, result, very detailed. And this also will, of course, change your style, because if you paint something, with this kind of brush, then it's going to be visible when when you complete your artwork. Is going to be visible that you get something which is a little bit like different than a perfect circular brushes. You can tell that you have like this kind of signs, this kind of little dots in there, and it's cool. It's cool because it will add some kind of texturing on your drawings, and it will add a little bit of style. I mean, otherwise, every time you have a perfect gradients, and that's probably too boring, I would say. Okay, so please experiment on brushes, and try to have at least 2-3 brushes to paint or draw, and then a few brushes to paint the shapes you want. I don't know, grass, leaves, trees, and stuff like that, depending on the project you want to work on.